place to borrow and save. Visit brewerycu.com. That is brewerycu.com. Federally insured by NCUA.
Milwaukee, get ready for the ultimate flavor in Music Fest. Tacos and Tequila Fest is going down Saturday, September 13th at Franklin Field. Enjoy your favorite throwback hits with performances by Lil Jon, Pretty Ricky, B.O.B., Trina, and more. This event is strictly 21 and up, so leave the kiddos at home and get ready to vibe out. Live music, DJs, food trucks, tequila tastings, and all the vibes you can handle all in one epic day. Tickets are going fast. Get yours now at tacostequilafest.com/market/Milwaukee. How is it possible for somebody to be found guilty of something and serve no jail time? How is it possible that someone can get a first offense misdemeanor when it comes to marijuana here in the state of Wisconsin and can face up to 6 months in jail, but two men who are convicted of murder get probation? This is not what justice is about. Why does this keep happening, Truth Nation? And why does it always seem like black people die and we don't get the justice that we deserve? How should we react to this? If you commit a crime, you must do the time. If you take somebody's life, you have to pay the cost. I don't care that it was an accident, because it does not make sense to me how someone can be murdered and somehow they get no time. Even if you accidentally kill somebody, you are still a murderer, especially when you plead guilty to felony murder. Marijuana will get you more time in jail than killing somebody, especially when it comes to a black man here in America, unfortunately.
Catch Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace every weekday from noon to 1 p.m. on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app. You're listening to the new 1017 The Truth, founded in partnership with Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. 1017 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee. A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It's time! It's time! It's Beta time!
You are watching a master at work.
Truth Nation, get ready for the greatest 60 minutes in radio, giving you his authentic and bold opinions, bringing you all the information, entertainment, and conversations you gotta hear. From local issues to trending topics and headline news, it is time for Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on the award-winning 1017 The Truth app, 1017thetruth.com, and streaming live on YouTube. Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is your award-winning host, Kyle Wallace.
It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I am your host of Truth to Power, Kyle Wallace, and I'm coming to you live from the American Family Insurance Studio in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Lambeau Field right in front of me that I can see. Can't turn the camera around because I'm inside the trailer, but I'm coming to you live again from Green Bay, Wisconsin, as I get ready for the Packer game tonight. One of my good friends, actually. Packers take on the Washington Commanders, and one of my good friends. His name's Nick Bellore. I've been in the NFL since 2011. Is still in the NFL doing his thing. He's a special teams maven. He is actually 16 tackles short of the all-time NFL record for most tackles in special teams, most special team tackles in an NFL career. So shout out to my boy. Hooked me up with tickets tonight. Me and my boys going up here. A guy I went to high school with, played high school football with him. So shout out to Nick Bellore for hooking me up with the tickets, and shout out to him. And, you know, hopefully he makes some plays tonight. So I am here live from Green Bay, Wisconsin, Lambeau Field, for Truth to Power. You can always call in, text in by texting in at 833-212-1017. That is 833-212-1017, as that is the Truth Talk in text line. But in addition to that, you can always watch and stream us live on YouTube by going to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. That is 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and make sure you share as well, and watch and stream us live. And you can stream us on the 1017 The Truth app, so you can take us anywhere you go. I'm all the way in Green Bay. Can't get you on the 1017 The Truth FM dial, but I sure can get you on the app. Now, Truth Nation, we all know what the story and the topic of the day is. When I left y'all yesterday, we were going to talk about a little bit about September 11th, and we're also going to talk about the farmers. I was excited about the farmers show. I had been preparing this show. I was excited to expose the hypocrisy of many farmers across America. But then yesterday, as I went up to Road America in Plymouth, Wisconsin, and to do my other show from 2 to 5 on ESPN Wisconsin, I go and I sit down, and it's a long drive, and so I'm cutting it close, and I sit down about 157, 158, and one of my co-hosts shows me his phone, and he shows me a phone of someone being shot, and I was confused. I'm like, what is this? I didn't know what this was. He said, that's Charlie Kirk. I said, oh, Charlie Kirk. I said, oh, wow. I said, he ain't gonna make it. I said, he ain't gonna make it. And that has been a topic of conversation today, but also as I had time to ponder, because I ain't going to lie to you, I was like, oh, wow, this is crazy. But truth matter, the biggest thing that I got from the death of Charlie Kirk is the fact that we need to understand what we say matters, right? Words we use matters. And there is an old saying, and it's, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. In Truth Nation, I'm here today to tell you that old saying of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me is a bunch of malarkey. Words cut deep. We know that. Words make you feel an emotion. Words can change your perception or your perspective of yourself. Words can determine a level of self-esteem or self-confidence that you have in oneself. So our words indeed do matter. Matter of fact, hit me with a stick and a stone. Don't try to cut me deep with your words. See, this is what everyone must realize after what happened yesterday is that our words matter. It wasn't about the type of husband Charlie Kirk was. It wasn't about the type of father Charlie Kirk was. It wasn't about the type of son, family member, friend that he was yesterday. It was about the words that he said. And I call on everyone to be mindful of the things that you say to one another, the things that you say to others, because everyone has the right to have an opinion. Everyone, and I mean everyone has a right to have an opinion. But when your opinion crosses a line where it's blatantly offensive, that is where you cannot cross that line where it has to stop. No one has a right to purposely say anything in order to hurt somebody else. That's not what American is about. That's not what being a human being is about. And when I use this platform to call out what I see or educate people, I may attack certain people's character, but that's based off the facts of what led me to it. I'm only judging you based off what you allowed to happen. And again, what you did in your life, your legacy, is what leads me to an opinion based off you. It is all based off facts and is all based off history. And yesterday I spoke about a liberal white woman putting herself first in front of our kids. And at the same time when I talked about that, I made sure that I said, do not judge all white teachers, because many of us have experienced a white teacher that cared about our education, and there's many white teachers out here that care about kids. Because I do not believe that we can sit here and allow for your personal experience to paint the narrative and dictate how we feel, how we should feel about something or someone. I believe that it is so important that we should never allow someone's individual experience to paint the narrative of an entire group. Because that's not fair and that's not right. Nothing in this life is absolute. But again, I say this, words matter. And I don't get very biblical, but I thought today would be a good day to get biblical. Leviticus 19:18 says, do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. Mark 12:31 also states, love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. And I feel it's so important right now because people are hurting, people are mad, people are frustrated. But I think now is the perfect opportunity, especially when you're talking about God-fearing individuals, that we remind them of what the Bible says and how you should feel and how you should react. So, Truth Nation, people are mourning the loss of someone they cared about. And that's part of human emotion. And what happened yesterday, I'm be honest, was absolutely devastating as another person lost their life to gun violence in this country. Another person fell victim to a weapon which serves, in my mind, I've said it over and over again, this weapon of a gun serves no purpose other than to kill people. In addition to that, 2 kids were shot at Evergreen High School in Colorado yesterday. That is the same Colorado which changed the way Americans attend school forever. When you think about Columbine. And until we address guns, until we address mental health, we will continue to traumatize people like this. Anyone that was at that event at Utah Valley University College yesterday would be traumatized if they saw that. Any one of them kids inside of the school at Evergreen High School who had to deal with the trauma of, once again, gunshots ringing out inside the school while they're trying to learn, while they're trying to exercise in gym, while they're just trying to have a education, they are traumatized, and I feel for them. I feel for the wife of Charlie Kirk. I feel for his kids. I feel for his family. I also feel for the students who were traumatized yesterday and had to run away from their school in a panic because they thought they may die. The mental trauma that those kids are going to have to go through and going through right now is just, again, devastating. But I'm going to be honest with y'all, Truth Nation, because y'all know I keep it real. I am not going to lie. I'm a little salty. And I'm a little salty because when I went on my Facebook and I went on my social media, what I saw was more people being empathetic to someone who said empathy was a new age term that was made up and does more damage than showing empathy, where they were showing empathy for this man more than they were showing empathy for the kids who will be scarred forever for what they had to experience. If you think seeing a video of someone being shot in the neck was traumatizing, imagine what those kids inside of the school felt like yesterday, running for their lives. Nothing they did contributed to the actions that they had to deal with. There's nothing that any one of them kids did that should have had them go through that traumatic experience yesterday. So seeing folks post on social media about Charlie Kirk, which they have every right to do, while ignoring what happened to the kids, is extremely disappointing. And no, again, I mean no one should have to deal with gun violence. But I cannot believe how someone who shared such vile, such racist, such homophobic, conspiracy theorists, spread misinformation, anti-Muslim hate, hateful, dangerous views would get more empathy than children running for their lives at a school in Colorado. That is astounding to me, Truth Nation. Some will say that we have a lunatic liberal problem, when really there is a problem rising with political tension, and now is a moment where we need a leader who can calm the flames of the political tension. There are too many attempts on lives here in America. We need more love. We need more empathy. Despite what Charlie Kirk said, we still need love and we still need empathy in this world. And I feel for everyone, while also being extremely disappointed in those who believe that one man's life should be mourned more than the many lives of children that lose their lives in school shootings like we saw yesterday. Luckily, no child died, but like we saw yesterday, the trauma that those kids had to go through. We should be mourning it all. We should be mourning it all. 2 kids were shot yesterday. It looks like they're going to survive. The shooter took his life, and I'm sure mental health had something to do with it. We have way too many people, Truth Nation, who have something called selective outrage. We have too many people that have selective outrage based off their political view. Y'all have been listening to this show long enough, and whenever I hear something that is traumatic, I don't care if it's left, if it's right, or what your political view is, somebody dying by gunfire is awful. And y'all know how I feel about guns. It's too many people that allow their political stance to determine the level of outrage when it comes to death. And shame on the President of the United States for using the death of this man, Charlie Kirk, as a lightning rod for his base. Shame on the President for making someone's death a political gain for him. Using the death of Charlie Kirk, the trauma all those people felt, as political ammunition. You are the President of the greatest country in the world, and you took an oath. You took an oath to this country. You took an oath for when we have a moment like this, that you aim to try to unite us, not separate Americans. This is a moment that from the leader, from the person that is the most powerful man in the world, that he should be calling for unity. He should be calling for the stop of senseless violence. He should be asking for thoughts and prayers for the kids in Colorado and for the Kirk family and for those impacted by this. He should be calling for the end to all this, but instead he stoked the flames of hate. And when you stoke the flames of hate and anger, especially in an emotionally vulnerable moment like this, you are doing nothing but enabling more violence to take place. That is not the leadership we need in this moment, nor is that the leadership we want. So shame on Donald Trump for sharing a message of anger when we are, as a country, are reeling. And we are in the need of a message of unity. We need leadership, not revenge. We don't need hate. We need leadership. 833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talking text line. Truth Nation, I want to hear from y'all because when we come back, I want to take your calls. And I'm going to continue this conversation because when I was on social media, somebody asked a question that I thought was interesting, and I saw a lot of people start answering the question. Who is Charlie Kirk, and who was Charlie Kirk? What is his legacy now that he is no longer here? And also 833-212-1017. Do you actually care that this happened? Because this is a major news story and everybody's talking about it. I want to know, when you think of Charlie Kirk, what comes to mind? What will his legacy be? Because when we leave this earth, our legacy is something that is so important. I want to have children one day because I want my legacy. I want my parents' legacy. I want my grandparents' legacy, my great-grandparents' legacy to continue to live on. I want them to be proud of the man that I became and proud of the man that I was when I lived my entire life until the day the Lord takes me from this planet and this earth. But I want to know, 833-212-1017, who was Charlie Kirk to you? And what is his legacy? But also this, I learned in my journalism class, I'll never forget San Martino. You got to talk about everything when you talk about people regardless of what happens. And what I don't want to get lost in this is that he said some really, really offensive, messed up stuff. And we're going to address everything, but I do want to hear from you all. What legacy has he left, and how will Charlie Kirk be remembered? 833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talking text line. I see y'all calls. I see y'all on YouTube. I see y'all texts coming in. We're going to get to y'all because Truth Nation, I definitely want to hear from you. But as we talk about a legacy, when we go to break, Rhea Riley, my producer, shout out to Rhea Riley, holding it down on the ones and the twos. She's going to play a clip for you because I think it's important to understand who we lost yesterday. This is Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace. I'll take your calls. I'll take your texts. I'll check YouTube. 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Make sure you give us a like. Make sure you subscribe as well. We're on the road to 5,000 followers. But we're going to have this conversation today. We'll be back.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth, the Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
This is 1017 The Truth, Kyle Wallace, and the time is now, Milwaukee. Truth to Power is your platform, and on my show, our community always has a voice. There is no topic that is off limits, and I always give you my authentic opinions on how I feel because keeping it real is the only way I know how to get down. Listen to Truth to Power with me, Kyle Wallace, every day from noon to 1 p.m. on the award-winning 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on YouTube at 1017 The Truth. Milwaukee Black Talk.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are much closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Fall in Milwaukee, where the air is crisp, the drinks are cold, and the good times are just heating up. Stroll Milwaukee's lakefront and explore its parks as they burst into a kaleidoscope of golds, ambers, and reds. Raise a glass at a beer garden that feels like a neighborhood block party, Milwaukee style. And just as the temps fall, Brewers baseball is turning up the heat. October dreams are made right here. This season, every color, every cheer, every sip, it all comes together in Milwaukee. Craft your perfect getaway at visitmilwaukee.org.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years from their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee. Their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design.
Great impressions.
Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
This is Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Having an armed citizenry comes with a price. And that is part of liberty. Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. Wow. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. Right. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, yes, by having more armed guards in front of schools. Yes. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. Wow. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe. Sure. So then how do you reduce? Very simple. People say, oh, Charlie, how do you stop school shootings? I don't know. How did we stop shootings at baseball games? Because we have armed guards outside of baseball games. That's why. How did we stop all the shootings at airports? We have armed guards outside of airports. How do we stop all the shootings at banks? We have armed guards outside of banks. How do we stop all the shootings at gun shows? Notice there's not a lot of mass shootings at gun shows. There's all these guns. Because everyone's armed.
That is Charlie Kirk, who was killed yesterday while at Utah Valley State down in Utah Valley University, down in Utah while he was on his tour. He was shot in the neck. And I thought it was so important to play that because Charlie Kirk became a victim to gun violence. And based off the logic that he shared, he's believed that people having a right to have a firearm, is well worth the risk of what occurred yesterday. Now, I disagree, and some of the examples that he gave, we can go back and forth about that. Many examples were once again, misinformation and not really factual. But at the end of the day, he lost his life because of what occurred with gun violence. But he also said he was willing for that sacrifice. He was willing to make that sacrifice. He said he was willing to make that sacrifice because he believed in the Second Amendment. And I think it's extremely sad that he gave his life, unfortunately, for the Second Amendment yesterday. But 833-212-1017. We're having a conversation talking about Charlie Kirk because, again, I can't ignore some of the horrid commentary he has had out there, he has put out there. But I do want to know, what is his legacy? What is the legacy you believe that he leaves behind? Who is Charlie Kirk? Because I thought it was a very interesting conversation that I saw on social media about people asking, who is Charlie Kirk? But 833-212-1017. Winky Blue, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. You have a question on Charlie Kirk shooting.
Good afternoon to you, Brother Kyle.
Good afternoon.
Brother Kyle, I'll tell you exactly who this young man was. You're a 32-year-old guy that has been indoctrinated with his beliefs and his convictions, and he believes in Christianity. And what tells me that he's been indoctrinated, because he's your age, see? And what has happened is that we, black folk, haven't indoctrinated our people, our young folk right. We've allowed other people and other sources to indoctrinate them, and then we lay it to the sheep like slaughter. Lay it to the slaughter like sheep. Now, this guy is known for going around all of the colleges, okay, where the supposedly woke culture is a cesspool, or where they spawn. The woke culture spawns in a lot of these colleges, so they say. So he's been the champion and the rally to go out, and regardless of what he say, bad thing, because if I listen to some of your commentary and you say the Republicans are snowflakes, that's commentary. That's your perspective. Right, that's your perspective. I wouldn't want, if anybody starts saying, well, he said some bad things. No, Kyle is doing what he's been indoctrinated with. Now, that boy has been indoctrinated. He's a young guy. He's been indoctrinated, and what let me know this is that he started in 2015. Well, he couldn't have been no more than about 15 or 16 then.
He started at 18, I want to say. I believe it was 18 that he started the turning point.
Well, if he's 31 now, and Donald Trump ran in 2016, that's been 10 years ago. So he was probably about 18, 20, but he started his little journalism and doing what he's doing, trying to get in West Point and all of these colleges at a young age, man. This is not something that a person gets 25 and 30 and starts to do. And this is why, I've been indoctrinated as a child. I've indoctrinated my children. Hopefully, my grandchildren are being indoctrinated.
I got a couple calls, so I'm gonna give you 15 seconds to wrap it up here. I'm on the rope, so I can't really control it as much. But last 15 here before you wink.
For going around to the colleges, rallying the troops, man, for what he believes in. He's against a lot of things that me and you are really against, but some of us have been indoctrinated to accept some things that are not a part of our culture as black folk. And
thank you, Winky. I do agree that we have been indoctrinated as African Americans in things that do not support our culture. 100% believe that. 833-212-1017. Thank you for the call. And again, this is the story of the day, and I have so much that I want to touch on because of the response and the reaction. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Most of the folks that I have on social media, I think they're peaceful folks, right? And I think they're respectable folks. But I was very weary of the fact that I understood that a school shooting took place a couple weeks ago. I was very mindful of the fact that I know that Minneapolis representatives, state officials were shot and killed at their home, all in, I believe it was within the last 3 months. And I did not see the same type of outcry. I did not see the same type of outrage when somebody came to their house in the middle of the night. They were not at a public university. They weren't doing a public forum. They were sleeping at home, and somebody came to their house with political violence and murdered them and left a family broken. But I didn't see the same type of outrage. I didn't see the same type of outcry. And I was confused on why. Why? Because all of this is terrible. It's terrible that this continues to happen. But 833-212-1017. I do want to know, who is Charlie Kirk? And what is the legacy that he left behind? Antonio in Milwaukee, what are your thoughts on that?
Hi. Thank you for having me. Well,
yes, sir.
This is one thing for sure. We can't for sure say what is his legacy in this world or beyond this world. But for sure what we can say is he did good. He was a family man, and he was a God man. And I hope he's in heaven right now looking over us and wishing the best for us.
All right. I mean, that's, hey, again, that is good. He's a God-fearing man, and whatever the doors of heaven said for him is what to be meant for him. But we're gonna definitely have that conversation today. Antonio, I appreciate you giving the call. But when somebody passes, you definitely discuss what their legacy is, and that's exactly what we're gonna do today. Is what is his legacy? Because I know something that he said about George Floyd being a scumbag was something that I did not appreciate, the way that he treated somebody who was killed and murdered on camera. So I think it's quite interesting about the level of respect that we expect for us, and I give all the respect, because I am not going to speak ill of anybody, but I do think it's interesting how you said he was a God-fearing man and a Christian, which not for me to judge, but I do know some of the rhetoric that he said about another man who lost his life and was murdered, as he was murdered as well. He called the scumbag. I'm not that horrible of a person that I would ever say that about somebody who is no longer on this earth, especially when people are grieving. But again, I'm different. 833-212-1017. Ron on the South Side. What do you think we lost yesterday?
Hey,
Thanks for taking my call, Kyle. I'm not going to be, fake about this. When you are born and you die like Charlie Kirk did, I'm one of the few people in my family that actually listen to some of his stuff. Matter of fact, he had a recent interview with the genocide-loving Ben Shapiro, and he's totally with that. Charlie Kirk I'm talking about. When you live and die, the date you're born and the day you die, there's a little line on your tombstone. That little line represents what you've done between your birth and your death. And did Charlie Kirk have a God-fearing life and all that? I can't judge that. Some people, the last caller said he did. I'm not sure about that. But for what he talked about, it didn't seem like he was a God-fearing, loving person of families and human beings if he's supporting the genocide in Gaza right now. And also, Charlie Kirk also said that some innocent people are going to have to die in order for us to preserve the Second Amendment. So it's ironic that people, black people too, calling in, talking about, you're not supposed to speak ill on the dead. But is that truth in every case? Charlie Kirk is going to be judged by the God Almighty, the one that the Gates say he loved. But from everything that I've saw and heard from his own mouth was not of peace and love. I don't want to hear that crap. Yes, he got killed in front of his family. That's a tragic thing. But you have the chickens come home to roost at some point in time. You have to try to walk a straight path in Jesus' steps as you can if you believe in that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I'm right there with you. I believe that as well. 833-212-1017, or you can watch and stream us live on YouTube by going to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. That's 1017 The Truth on YouTube. As we have a conversation about just a different day, a tragic day in America, as another school shooting took place at Evergreen High School in Colorado. And then we see it all across social media, Charlie Kirk was shot. He is a far-right Christian political commentator. That's how they describe him. Was shot and killed and shot in the neck yesterday. And I'm getting your reaction to it. 833-212-1017. Who was Charlie Kirk? Brian in Milwaukee. Who was Charlie Kirk, and what is his legacy?
Well, his legacy speaks for itself. As far as his political views, 90% of it is just old school common sense. But I want to understand the nature of the person that pulled off that miraculous shot. That's what I would like to know. I'd like to know who was this murderer. I mean, what his background was, where is his manifesto, and what type of person was this? That's the more concerning thing for it. I mean, Charlie.
They do have a photo. They did release a photo. It looks like a skinny white gentleman was the culprit from the looks of it. Okay, so he's off there. So 833-212-1017. I just want to know what do y'all believe the legacy of Charlie Kirk is, and who was he as a man? And again, as I mentioned before at the start of the break, when I went to school and college, they always told me, don't bury the lead. Don't bury the lead. You can't, because for me, I've always come from a place of empathy. I come from a place of saying, hey, this person was this. I think about the good. I don't think about the controversial, but the controversial might be the things that impact people the most. So when we come back, before we go to break, I'm going to have Rhea play this clip so everybody knows some of the things that Charlie Kirk said, because I think it's very vital for us to understand some of the things that he said for us to really figure out who he was and what his legacy is going to be. We'll be back in 4 minutes, but as we go to break, I want y'all to listen to this clip on the things that Charlie Kirk said, because remember what I said, words matter. What you say matter, and what you say and what you do and your actions will be how you will remember when you leave this earth. These are the words of Charlie Kirk.
I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but
Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Hi, Hi, I'm Brittany Miller from Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more. Custom T-shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, you name it, we can do it. Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more is family owned and all about celebrating life's big moments. Maybe it's a milestone birthday, a celebration for your child's first goal, or that work fundraising event. We are everyone's printer. No minimum orders, affordable designs, and help straight from me and our team. We're the one-stop shop for all your custom needs. Start your project today at bigfrog.com/Mequon.
This is your Versity Blood Center of Wisconsin Community Impact Moment on 101.7 The Truth.
And what are some of the ways that you're inspiring people? Because, you know, one of the biggest opportunities, in particular in the African-American community, is access, exposure, and awareness.
For Versity Blood Center of Wisconsin, we've been here 76 years.
Wow.
And our mantra is saving the lives you love. So if someone you love needs a blood transfusion and they're in any hospital in Southeast Wisconsin here, that blood's coming from us. And so we're trying to make sure that we're communicating that, because I think folks maybe don't understand that blood can't be manufactured. And summers are always tough because schools are out and we collect about 20 to 25% of our blood from schools. Mm-hmm. So it's always a day-to-day struggle. We say that the blood that's on the shelves is the blood that saves lives. And a lot of times people are compelled to donate when something bad happens. And our mission and our job is to educate folks so that we can get ahead of the curve and keep 3 days of inventory on the shelves. Mm-hmm. So we're in a decent spot right now, but we're on the streets every day trying to inspire people to join our mission. One of our big projects that we're proud of is Versity on King, which is part of the Thrive On collaboration in the Gimbel Schuster building on Martin Luther King Drive. And next year, we're going to open a destination center there. It'll be a blood donation center, but it'll be more than that, because we've realized that we can't be transactional with our relationships in the Black community. We need to do things that are intentional and that show that we're there to stay. But the reason that we're there is because not enough people that look like us donate. And so for disorders like sickle cell disease that disproportionately affect us, the race can matter. But I like to say that, you know, Black folks have a superpower in their blood. 44% of Black blood donors will have this rare trait that makes their blood more likely to be able to be a match for a sickle cell patient. And that 44%, like that is way higher than what we would find in other races.
To make an impact by donating blood in your community, visit versity.org today.
This Associated Bank Sports Update on 101.7 The Truth is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Nazir Spencer. The Green Bay Packers look to face the Washington Commanders on this high-stakes Thursday night matchup.
You know, Washington does a really nice job of running a lot of different pick games and stunts and putting their backers on your backs, and sometimes not the best situations. So we've got to work cut out for us.
Packers won 27-13 against the Lions on Sunday and look to take another defensive stand tonight. The Brewers lose their series 3-0 against the Rangers, still looking to get that playoff clinching game. They look to defeat the Cardinals in a 3-game series beginning Friday evening. Badger football starts off 2-0, but they will now look to face 19th-ranked Alabama on Saturday, who are 1-1. The Sports Update brought to you by Associated Bank, proudly supporting your hometown teams. Member FDIC.
It is Truth to Power on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and streaming live on 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. If you or a loved one is ever injured in an accident, y'all know who to call. It's Gruber Law Offices. All it's doing is making one call, that's all, and they will take care of you. I'm telling y'all, when I got injured in a car accident, I called Gruber Law Offices, and they took care of me. I didn't have to pay a single penny, not a single cent, until they won my case, which they did win my case. If you want to get with a winning law firm today, make sure y'all visit Gruber Law Offices at gruber-law.com or calling them today at 414-276-6666. That's 414-276-6666 is one call, that's all, with Gruber Law Offices. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. I am Kyle Wallace, and you can watch and stream us live on YouTube by going to 101.7 The Truth on YouTube. That's 101.7 The Truth on YouTube. And we're talking about what is the legacy of Charlie Kirk? How will he be remembered? And who is the man that Charlie Kirk was? That is the conversation I want to have, because I saw a lot of people with the RIPs and mourning his loss, as they should. If you care about somebody, mourn the loss. But you cannot ignore some of the rhetoric and the things that he also said. You have to talk about some of the stereotypes that he perpetuated, some of the damaging things that he said. And so with that, I want y'all to go ahead and go to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. It's 1017 The Truth on YouTube. And I want to give a reminder of some of the things that Charlie Kirk has said. And this is how he may be remembered.
Kirk has no problem putting his true beliefs about anyone who isn't a white, rabid conservative like him on full display.
You're going to remove my appendix and you're a black lesbian. See a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman. I wonder, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? Thomas Sowell and Justice Clarence Thomas are far better black role models to celebrate than Martin Luther King, period. End of story. This guy is not worthy of a national holiday. He is not worthy of godlike status. In fact, I think it's really harmful. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52. I'm going to trust the Lord. I know what we're saying is true. I was disappointed because I said, listen, guys, you could hate what I'm doing. You could criticize it.
I live like a capitalist every single day, Shank. I live as a capitalist, okay? I live what I believe. No. What do I do? I get...
Truth Nation, those were the words of Charlie Kirk. If he sees a black lesbian as a doctor, he'll be concerned if she's qualified. If he gets on a plane with a black pilot, he'd be concerned that he'd be qualified. He called a black woman moronic. If I'm dealing with a moronic black woman, I'm going to figure out whether or not she deserves this job. Clarence Thomas deserves more respect than Dr. Martin Luther King. He tried to minimize and diminish the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. He claimed that black people steal a white person's job. He just said a word at the end there that was offensive. So all I'm saying is this. I let people do their own speaking for who they were. And I'm not happy he was killed at all. We should be devastated by the fact that somebody again in America has lost their life to gun violence. We should be devastated about that he will never, or his family would never be able to see him again. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He was not a very good guy. He did not deserve this fate, but his words were meant to divide us. That's what that was, and I take that personal. I take that personal because he was talking about black people. And I brought up Charlie Kirk during the 2025 state Supreme Court election, and I was mad that Brad Schimmel allowed him to campaign with him. Why? It's because of the things that he said like that. That is offensive. That is offensive language. To see the flags half staff because of his death, that's offensive to me. He's just a civilian. He is not a political figure. He did not deserve that. He is nothing but, to me, what he said spewed white supremacy. He disparaged people like Martin Luther King. So I'm sorry if I say things like he wasn't a good person. It's not based off my opinion. It's based off the words that he said. You can't sit here and disparage people and say a black pilot is unqualified because of the color of his skin. Have you ever heard of the Tuskegee Airmen and what they did for this country? It's extremely offensive to disparage people based off the color of their skin and say they're not qualified because they are black. That is not what makes America great. What makes America great is a unified message of how beautiful this country can be when we live up to the foundations of what it was supposed to be, what our founding fathers said it was supposed to be. But 833-212-1017. I see y'all on the talk and text line. And Josh in Milwaukee, what are your thoughts here on this conversation?
Hey, Kyle, how's it going? Just first off, I wanted to say that nobody deserves what happened to him yesterday, regardless of where you stand.
100%. 100%.
He may not have been the best person, or I didn't agree with him on everything he said, but again, it's just that's the beauty of the country is we're allowed to have different opinions, and we're allowed to have civil discourse. But when you do what happened yesterday, it just I'm at a loss for words. And the bad part is you spoke about selective outrage earlier, and that's exactly what the right wing is doing. Donald Trump, Laura Ingraham, Fox News, all them. They weren't outraged when the state senator from Minnesota was literally assassinated in her own home.
Melissa Horton and her husband, yes.
And hopefully they're at peace as well. The only reason they're outraged is because it happened to one of their own. That's literally what it comes down to. And
thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. We got some folks on the line. I appreciate that. The selective outrage. We should mourn the loss of everybody. But to sit here and mourn the loss of someone who said so many offensive things, so many divisive things, that's up to you. You can do what you want. But I do question your judge of character when this one feels like it cuts you deep. I do question whether or not you really care about what makes America great and what's the best of America can be, because that type of rhetoric, that type of language is not the best of us. It is not. 833-212-1017. Lana Banana, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing all right. What are your thoughts on this conversation?
Well, see, after listening to the clips that you played, and he said he was Christian and God-fearing, his legacy to me would be that he's a false prophet. Because if you call yourself God-fearing, and the Bible says to treat your neighbor as you want to be treated, that's empathy. He said to not have empathy. And he downed Martin Luther King and said negative things about George Floyd. That's because he's going to what the Bible really is. The Bible is really the slave Bible, but the white people keep up editing it because they took out Enoch, which Enoch is the one that spoke up and the one that they said caused chaos. He caused chaos because he wasn't having it. So they took that out of the Bible that had 88 books. The slave Bible only has 66. So everything in there is everything bad about black people. Everything is good about white people. They whitewash Jesus. So I'm just saying black people, get with the Tewahedo, Tewahatdo. That's the original Bible in Africa. And it has the 88 books and the 22 eliminated books that make you feel liberated, and you will speak up and you know the truth.
Thank you, Lana Banana. I appreciate that. 833-212-1017. Again, we're having a conversation talking about Charlie Kirk, who was tragically killed yesterday at Utah Valley State on one of his tours. He was shot in the neck in front of 3,000 people in the crowd. Still a manhunt looking for the suspect who shot him. But I'm trying to figure out what is his legacy and how will he be remembered. 833-212-1017. Gary in Milwaukee, what are your thoughts on this conversation?
Hey, Carl, how you doing?
I'm doing.
You know what? I was just calling. I was going to say. You know what? You're so on point, man. That nothing else really needs to be said. I was like, this is wasted air for me even calling at this point. But what I was going to say, and I was never a fan of Charlie Kirk, but what I was going to say, that clip that you played prior to the break where he talked about empathy, he said he prefers the word sympathy. But this guy, and I called prior to the election to talk with Tory Lowe, and I said, do you know that this guy said that Kamala Harris and John Pierre were DEI hires? And you're going to support something like that? You're going to support somebody that got his foothold by saying that the first black president was illegitimate. That's how he got his foothold in to his popularity in this country, because of white racist people that cheered that type of nonsense on. And
I'm right there with you, Gary. We cannot support stuff like that. Anything that disparages black people, especially coming from a white person like that who's doing it to just become popular, to get people outraged, to get a reaction. We cannot buy into that. But 833-212-1017. Again, we're talking about Charlie Kirk, who was killed yesterday. Sadly, was killed yesterday in front of 3,000 people. We're talking about what is his legacy. Some of the rhetoric that he used makes me question the man that he was. But Al in Sherman Park, what is the legacy you believe that Charlie Kirk will leave?
I think he was a debate enthusiast. I think he's up there with George Carlin and Malcolm X in expanding freedom of speech. And I think his argument about openly saying you're going to select someone based on their race or sex then opens the door to question their qualifications to see if they were really there because they were qualified or simply because you made an arbitrary selection based on race or sex.
Can I ask you a quick question? Which that's fair. Everybody has a fair. They can have that. But why wasn't the same rhetoric about individuals who get put in positions and not having to work for it, but they get placed in positions because they know somebody or because of family or because of the connection that they have? Why isn't there same outraged and mad about the fact that somebody can work hard, whether they're white, black, Hispanic, Asian. They can work super hard, but they don't get that job is because they don't know. They don't have the connection to get that job. Somebody less qualified who has a connection gets the job over more qualified people. Why isn't there such an outrage over that? Shouldn't we be mad about people who work hard but don't get the position because somebody else got the position because they know somebody and not the hard work they put in?
I've worked in family companies, and I always guessed whether that person was the best person for the slot rather than just simply being family. I think we all do that.
Well, why isn't that a loud talking point? I hear more about DEI than I hear about nepotism.
Look at the whole George Bush family. I think a lot of people question that. Was Jeb really a person who you want running the country?
I mean, that's
after George.
Election. So what do you think? What do you think his long last? What are your comments about some of the racial things that he said as well, talking about MLK legacy and talking about George Floyd being a scumbag?
Well, we all know that all historical figures weren't 100% perfect. We know MLK was a womanizer, but then he was also a great enthusiast for civil rights. So the complete history on someone is not always on display, but we have to look at them as well-rounded people who have their flaws.
Yeah, scumbag. You got any comment on the scumbag? Calling the dead person a scumbag?
I do not comment on the George Floyd thing. I just did not agree with that whole thing, so I just leave that alone.
Was he a scumbag to you, or no, you think that's inappropriate to say?
If we look at his past, you could say some of the things like holding a gun to a pregnant woman's belly was not the best thing to do.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Thank you, Al. I appreciate you. 833-212-1017. Again, we're having a conversation just talking about the legacy of Charlie Kirk because, again, for today, I will repeat, there is no reason for anybody to have to die like this, but I do believe that there is a double standard when it comes to the way that we react to a lot of these tragedies, right? When Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked by a hammer in their home, the President of the United States mocked him and made jokes about him. The man, Charlie Kirk, who lost his life yesterday, he actually called for, to bail out the patriot, the person who did it. He actually called for, hey, some patriots to bail him out. They made light of that situation. When Gretchen Whitmer had far-right extremists try to kidnap her, plan kidnapping of her, a lot of people made light of this conversation and people wanted them to be freed. And when the Minnesota, Melissa Hortman and her husband were shot and killed, I didn't see all this I didn't see all this outcry. And so I'm just trying to figure out, do we really care about all lives, or do we only care about the lives that align with our political views? That's the real question. 833-212-1017. That is the Truth Talking text line. I'll read through your texts. I'll take some of your calls. But on the other side, I'll share my final thoughts about somebody who told me that we shouldn't really have empathy in this world. We should focus on other stuff, and empathy's made up. I'm going to share my final thoughts on how I feel about somebody that told me that when they see a black pilot, they question whether or not they're a DEI hire. I'm going to give my final thoughts of when somebody says they see a black lesbian because they think they check all the boxes, whether or not they earned it. Because somebody like that, to me, is probably a bad individual. But when we come back on the other side in 3 minutes, I'll share my final thoughts on who Charlie Kirk was and what his legacy will be.
You are listening to Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app. Catch Truth to Power every weekday from noon to 1 p.m.
Catholic Memorial Football.
To Devon Williams Jr., and he's into the end zone.
The Crusaders host West Dallas Central this Thursday.
Deep pass from Dalton Stanky, and it's complete to Dustin Rhodes.
Crusaders football is brought to you by R&R Insurance, D&M Accounting and Consulting Services, Curative Care, Home Sealed Exteriors, and Tony Wendorf and Associates. Tune in Thursday at 4 on our sister station 1017 The Truth with kickoff at 4:30 and streaming live at ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
Tracy, going back to the process, and as it relates specifically to the partnership that Old National Bank has with Housing Resource. What does the process consist of when coming through this program?
It's a referral process. We work with clients that first-time homeowners that may not have the counseling that they need. They may not have the equity, the down payment that they need. So we refer them to our partners like HRI or Housing Resources, Inc., because we recognize that those organizations, they have the resources, they have the tutorial documentation and all of those things that are necessary for first-time homeowners that don't know the process, may not know the system, may not know what's required for home ownership. So working with Housing Resources Inc. and other partnerships that we have like through WIDA has been very, very advantageous, not only for us, but also the organizations, but also for the community.
Protect your dream home with American Family Insurance, and you can weather any storm. You'll save up to 25% by bundling home, auto, and life. American Family Insurance. Get a quote or find an agent at amfam.com. Products not available in every state. Discounts may not apply to all coverages on an auto or home policy. Discounts do not apply to life insurance policies. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company assigned as operating companies American Family Life Insurance Company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
School's back in session. Kids have their backpacks, school supplies, and new clothes. But are you ready as a parent? Families are the single most important factor in a child's academic success. This year, get to know your child's teachers. Stay engaged with their learning. Don't be shy about asking questions along the way. Because as a parent, you are your child's first and most important teacher. Learn more about how City Forward Collective is helping families, students, and schools thrive at cityforwardcollective.org.
Make your home safer. Get rid of unused household chemicals at MMSD Home Hazmat Drop-Off. It's free to visit a collection center. Get all the info you need at MMSD.com. Milwaukee County residents only, no businesses.
Happy kids heal faster, and that's why Starlight is dedicated to improving the mental well-being of sick kids across the U.S. Learn how at starlight.org.
Seriously injured? Call Gruber Law Offices today.
You are listening to Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Ride the wave to clean with Tsunami Express Car Wash, Milwaukee's fan favorite for a winning shine. Become a monthly member and enjoy unlimited washes for less than $1 a day. Skip the wait in the fast line and take advantage of unbeatable perks like free vacuums and tire air with every visit, with convenient locations across Midtown Milwaukee, Waukesha, Greenfield, Oak Creek, Mount Pleasant, and New Berlin. Fresh, clean, and shiny is always close by. Tsunami Express Car Wash. Wash, chill, repeat. Learn more at tsunamiexpress.com. 833-212-1017. I missed these on the other side, so I definitely want to get to them. White Widow, you have 20 seconds here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth.
All right, thank you very much. There's a problem with the good old boy syndrome. We just saw it with Mayor Cavalier, who hired for Office of Wellness and Safety, went on protocol. Good old boy, we know nothing about him. Also, when it comes to Israel and the genocide, but the Palestinians, the Democrats and the Republicans supported him. This young man, if he was killed for freedom of speech, I don't care what he said, it was wrong, number one. Number two, he garnered thousands of people around him. I don't believe thousands and thousands of students or our young people are bona fide ultra-racists. And I think I saw him speak a couple of times, and unfortunately, small statements that were taken, whether out of context, I don't know the whole breadth of it. I don't agree. But nevertheless, he was a bright star. He was intelligent, and he garnered thousands. So who else can say that right now in the Democratic Party? Thank you very much.
Racist. I appreciate you. You also have some racist comments. Al, you are the last one here. We got you for 15 seconds.
All I'm going to tell you is damn his legacy. Okay, there's nothing in the Old or the Old or New Testament that talks about hate. And remember this. All the boys that was raped and tortured was heterosexual white men. Now are you not? Damn his legacy.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate that. And Truth Nation, what I'll finish off is by saying, just because you lose your life tragically does not negate the harm that you did. This is the legacy that he left behind. And I hope when people talk about me when I'm gone, I hope there's very little controversy. I hope it's clear that the good outweighed the bad. In the case of Charlie Kirk yesterday, the good did not outweigh the bad. The harmful comments that he made purposely in order to get a reaction out of people was harmful. It was harmful. He did not deserve to die that way. But that outrageous rhetoric that he shared, the things that he said, the offensive things that he said, that type of language led to what happened yesterday. It is unfortunate because no one should ever lose their life like that. People should be able to speak their minds, and you get upset, but you should never kill somebody for it. But again, let it be a reminder. Words matter. Share love, share happiness, share joy. Don't share hate. Don't spread that hate. But this has been Truth to Power with Kyle Walls. I appreciate y'all, Truth Nation, for tapping in and tuning in. The Tory Lowe Show is up next from 1 to 4. And peace out. I will see y'all tomorrow.
From the biggest stars to the greatest moments, Behind the Bucks is Bucks history like you've never heard it before. It's all on